All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamey Daddy channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So here we are. We're at the cusp of a lot of new video games coming out. And a lot of people are asking about The Division, asking questions when the game is going to receive an update or any news. But like I made a video of mine a few weeks ago, I said the devs are actually talking. In fact, they're talking a lot more than they were in the past, which kind of leads me to believe that right now something is brewing. So just, I guess, a few hours from when I'm actually recording this video, a lot of news started to kind of surface. Now, I don't know if there were rumors or if somebody started to spread something. But people started talking about, content's coming soon. There's going to be an ETF flying out. But now that has actually been put to rest because that's not the case. In fact, Yannick himself commented on a video of one of our content creators here in the community, Epic Slayers, and said that he didn't know anything about any ETF that was going on. So that was not something that he knew was going to be happening. And he is the associate creative director for the Division 2. So that's pretty much what's going on. Nonetheless, I think I wanted to go ahead and try to shine or shed some light on what I believe is probably going on right now. So one thing about Ubisoft and their games is if you play any Ubisoft game or Ubisoft games on PC, you notice that one of the things that they do with their own Uplay platform, or what they call Ubisoft Connect, which is kind of a software that you log in and then you can play your games from there, is that they use it to heavily advertise and market. Many other games that are out there don't necessarily do that. They go from Steam directly, and then you could just play their games. But whereas you play, Ubisoft games, you actually have to still install Uplay, or I call it Uplay, but it is called Ubisoft Connect, in order for you to be able to play the game. So you actually need two different DRM software. I think that's what we call them on PC. Now, they heavily market on their Uplay platform. In fact, they have a dedicated team that actually works on some of the functionality that actually is based inside of massive Ubisoft in Malmö, Sweden. So it's a huge portion of their business. And so right now, if you get on Uplay, what you're going to see is you're going to be seeing a lot of Far Cry 6 advertising going on. There's a lot of that being pushed right now. There's a lot of stuff being pushed about the Assassin's Creed content, the Watch Dogs Legion content, and some of their other IPs that they really want to give a lot of limelight. I believe strongly that it is these IPs and what Ubisoft's marketing strategy is right now that is part of the reason that's preventing us from getting any content or any announcement regarding the Division until the time is right. So here's what I see. In fact, just recently again, they started re-advertising Rainbow Six Extraction as well. So put all of these in place. Ubisoft wants to get the limelight shining on these particular games and does not want for their new games to then go and be overshadowed by a game like The Division. And I say this because some people might say, well, how's Far Cry going to be overshadowed by The Division? I think it's not necessarily overshadowing the entire game, but a portion of the game. So imagine this right now as a Division player, be honest with yourself. If you were to see, say, a game release or from Ubisoft, and at the same time we get Division content drop, which one would you play first? Would you play the new game content, or would you go and play the Division content? I think the answer is quite simple for many of us. Some of us will probably play both of them, but again, there's still that aspect where you're still going to be playing the Division nonetheless. So I think Ubisoft understands this and would like to kind of throw out a few copies of those Far Cry games, and then we're probably going to be seeing the news for the Division come to light. I think this is probably what's going on. If you guys go ahead and you kind of evaluate, there was also another Far Cry game that came out around the Division 2 release, and I wasn't a huge fan when that game came out. I mean, it was just one of those things where I just kind of played the game for just a very small time. It came out right before the Division even, and I didn't even bother touching it because I knew the Division content was coming. So Far Cry New Dawn was one of those games where I was like, yeah, this is one of those games that can just probably wait until I'm ready. And I bought it on PC actually, but I didn't even play it for long. And then before Division 2 was right there, and I jumped right head on into the Division 2. So massive Ubisoft understands that they have at least a very, unique player base that can also add to the sales numbers. Now, please don't get me wrong saying that, somehow the Division is going to be, in a sense, affecting Far Cry. Far Cry does have a huge player base. This is not what I'm saying, but I'm saying Ubisoft is wanting to give full attention, full limelight to these games, and then we're going to start seeing some things come down the road once, I say at least once Far Cry is released and put out there. This is Far Cry 6 nonetheless. So I think these are some of the things that are causing the hiccup. Now, again, a few other things too is, and I've mentioned this and many people have mentioned this in their videos before, is that Ubisoft corporate right now is not, in a sense, that kind of corporation that will let their developers go ahead and make a lot of autonomous decisions. I think right now it's very obvious, and I think now people have seen it even more, that the developers, are in a place where they would love to speak, but it appears like Ubisoft themselves are not in a place where they want anybody saying anything about the game. A lot of these multi-million-dollar IPs, they usually use very coordinated messages. They don't say anything out of track. They sit down with their marketing experts. If the marketing experts say, we have the go ahead for you guys to move on this, then you move on this. If you don't have the go ahead to move on it, you're not moving on anything. So these are some of the things that you're going to be seeing that's going to be withholding a lot of the content coming from us or coming to us, if I would put it in a better, sense. But if you were to, go ahead and just kind of like look through everything, you have to ask yourself the question, at the end of the day, this is just one of those games where the company is playing, get the bag. So we in the community, I think one of the best things for us to do is just to kind of wait for them to finish all this fiasco. And then when they're ready, they're going to come back and then, reach out to the community again. Because again, one thing I always have to, reiterate very well is the developers in terms of, their work understand the value of this community, because this community made them relevant under the Ubisoft flag. And then also Ubisoft themselves understand that this community of gamers who have played the Division or who are still active or who would be active if they bring new content is a very huge customer base. So even though Far Cry may not necessarily be in the niche of many players, even though a game like Avatar or Star Wars may not be in the niche of many players, they understand that they still have to take care of business at home, because even if they can get a slice or a pie from this community to buy whatever new game it is that they're working on, it is still worth, their own while. But nonetheless, they have to also play this balancing act where they're just going to have to ignore us for the meantime. And then when it's time, for us to get our, when we get our green light, we're going to be fine. Okay, this is pretty much my own thoughts on this issue. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think that these are valid points? I strongly think so. I mean, multi-million-dollar budgets to make one of these video games, you don't want anything to kind of stand in the way. But talk to me in the comment section. I mean, you guys have some insight that's really, really useful for me, and, I learn a lot from you guys. Talk to you in another video. Peace.